So I decided to do this because I was just looking at his datasheet during the Creation of Bile video that I did yesterday, and I actually think he's pretty damn good. I always thought he was just another meh, never take kind of character, but genuinely he's got a lot going for him, especially of course in the new Creations of Bile detachment. Which means that yes, today we are looking at Mr. Fabius Bile himself, and of course we can't forget his little surgeon acolyte as well. Fabius Bile is 85 points, so he's a tiny bit cheaper than just your regular Chaos Lord who comes in at 90. You do get the same toughness 4, 3 up save, 5 health stat line as the Lord, although you do also get your little acolyte for that extra wound, although it is only a 6 up save, and you will probably want to keep it alive for the buffs it can bring, as we will see in just a second. He does also have a 5 up Feel No Pain and access to the Dark Pact's army rule, so all in all, he does bring a decent bit of utility and a good bit of durability for himself and also to your army. He's actually got some okay output himself too, especially when you consider he is an infantry unit, so he will be benefiting from those Creations of Bile detachment buffs if you are using that detachment. Getting him +1 attack or +1 strength can be quite handy, as can some extra movement or toughness just to boost him even more from that perspective. The only ones that really won't be great are +1 ballistic or weapon skill, because he is already hitting on 2s at both ranged and in melee. His gun is the Zyklos Needler, which is a pretty nice little pistol. It's 3 shots and it's only strength 2, but it's -1 AP, 2 damage, and it has anti-infantry 2+, so that means he can do quite a bit of work into enemy foot infantry units. He kills on average a Marine every shooting phase, which at 18 inches can definitely help him and his unit to get rid of enemies on an objective as you go and try to take them over the course of the battle. And then in melee, he is better still with quite a lot of attacks. 2 are from his Chirurgeon, which are only strength 4, 0 AP and 1 damage. And then he's also got 1 from his Acolyte, which is only strength 3 and no AP, 1 damage, and also only hits on 5s. So that's kind of meh, but his main weapon is his Rod of Torment. This nets you a really quite spicy 6 attacks at strength 5, -1 AP, and then a flat 3 damage. So with some of the potential lethal or sustained hits from the Dark Pact, he can actually do fairly well with this. With sustained hits on him, he does kill a Terminator by himself in melee, which isn't awful considering his points cost. The fact that he can do that in 1 round of combat is fairly good. He may not be quite as good overall as, say, a regular Chaos Lord with the customization you can put on them, but I do think it is a still pretty decent amount of output at both ranged and melee, considering everything else he has going on for him as well. His main rules are Enhanced Warriors, which makes the unit he joins not only +1 strength on their melee weapons, but also +1 toughness. This does specify it's only bodyguard models, so it doesn't go on to him in terms of his own strength and toughness, which is a shame, but still it does make his bodyguard unit much tankier and much killier, and naturally of course these can get exponentially better in the Creations of Bile detachment if you get the right rolls. But even without that detachment in consideration, +1 strength and +1 toughness is already really good and can be super helpful on the right units. In terms of what he can join legionaries or chosen, or cultists or accursed cultists. And whilst I think both cultists and accursed cultists certainly wouldn't say no to extra strength or toughness, in my mind it is going to be the legionaries or the chosen that you put him with, because they are just such good candidates for those buffs. Toughness 5 Marines and Chosen that can get up to strength 9 on their power fists, or strength 5 even on their basic chainswords, are just immediately so much better at pretty much any target. And if you manage to roll really well, if we go back to the Creations of Bile, if you manage to roll well on that table, that could be netting you 10 Chosen, which with sustained hits 1, for example, from the Dark Pact, be getting 50 strength 7 -2 AP 1 damage attacks on their accursed weapons, which kills just about 5 custodian guard all by themselves. Or instead, with a full loadout of 2 power fists, 2 set of paired accursed weapons, and say lethal hits from the Dark Pact do about 15 wounds into an Imperial Knight, so they can be exceptionally scary when they've got Bile with them and with the right buffs that he can get them access to. It's not just that boost to his unit's output and defense though, he can also use his Acolyte to, once per turn, change the damage result of an incoming attack to 0 as long as Fabius is alive, so giving you some even more powerful protection against those high damage attacks that might be coming towards you. And if you manage to get, say, the +1 toughness augment, that could mean your legionaries will be sitting on a toughness 6 3-up save profile, so ignoring any extra incoming damage that is coming in with this once per turn ability is just going to make them even more durable and even more difficult to shift off an objective. His final ability is that he can, once per battle, the first time he's destroyed, be set back up on the board on a 2+ as close to where he was destroyed. Now he can't set up in engagement range, but he does get all of his wounds back. And if he was with a bodyguard unit, he does have to be set up with them. But that is just fantastic. Not only is he initially quite tough to kill with those 5 wounds and the 3-up save and the 5-up feel no pain, but he can come back on a 2+ with full health after he's killed. So it is really so difficult to completely get rid of him. And for his 85 point cost, I do just think he brings some genuinely solid buffs to a unit. And then sure, in another detachment, you maybe might just want to consider bringing a regular Lord or Abaddon or a Warp Smith in the Soul Forged War Pack or a Jump Pack Lord in the Dread Talons. I'm absolutely not saying Fabius is an amazing must-take pick in every single Chaos detachment, but I do think he at least has a place in most detachment just to bring that great buff to his unit. But then especially in the Creations of Bile, where he becomes so much more of this key important linchpin unit, basically making your detachment rule go from good to amazing, I do think he is almost invaluable for just supercharging your army, but also supercharging that one particular unit that he joins and making them just this unbelievably tough, scary, hard-hitting target that your opponent really is going to worry about. On top of that, in the Creations of Bile, he does also get a load of use from the stratagems that we saw in the video yesterday. Delayed mutations, potentially getting him that 3rd augmentation, which could absolutely supercharge again him and his unit. If you need that crucial turn of extra movement or toughness and you didn't roll it, that is going to be so good on him and his unit. Whilst if you want a unit that just will not be moved from an objective all game, then Diabolic Regeneration is again fantastic on his squad. With their improved toughness, the ability to change a damage of an incoming attack to 0 each turn, and then reviving some of your models in your command phase, it can just make a squad that can sit on an objective and hold it pretty much all game long and just be so hard for your opponent to get rid of. Some of the other Chaos detachments, as I said, do work quite well with Fabius, and I think in particular the Renegade Raiders is one that I think he would be really good in. Having a unit of legionaries that have assault and can also boost their AP of 1 when trying to take an objective and fight something off an objective is really handy, and it does impact Fabius quite well too. Getting him AP 2 on both his gun and his Rod of Torment is quite a significant boost to their output. It does often let him hit that really important breakpoint of pushing things like Terminators to their invulnerable save, and in particular on the Rod, with sustained hits, it gives him almost a 50% more chance to kill off a second Terminator compared to just the almost guaranteed one that he will do without the extra AP. So with that sustained hits buff and in this detachment, he can be really quite scary in melee, and it does offer some stiff competition for the Creations of Bile, I think, because it is in itself a very strong and diverse and like good detachment in terms of the utility it brings and the movement it brings to your army. Overall, I am just very impressed with Fabius. Being an epic hero does of course mean he is less customizable, which is a shame, and you could argue that the Lord of Chaos rule for your lords, giving that CP reduction is almost as beneficial, especially in such a command point heavy detachment like the Creations of Bile. But I do think I could almost always find a spot for Fabius in a list in most detachments from the Chaos Codex, but in particular in the Creations of Bile. I do think in that detachment he is pretty much mandatory, just for how much utility he brings to your army through the detachment rule. And that is Fabius Bile himself. As always, what do you think of him, and is he worth it in any other detachments that aren't the Creations of Bile? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.